Hi,
Hi,
Carly. How
Alex.
are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Very
Great.
excited to talk to you. I have a bunch of friends from high school that are very jealous today.
Oh, that is very sweet, and I really appreciate it. And I hope I don't disappoint anyone.
Definitely not, especially after seeing this movie. I don't know how you could disappoint. This was a badass performance. It was really awesome
Oh,
to see you in this role.
oh,
Um,
thank
how
you,
did you
Alex.
feel about playing such a intense character? Well, not an intense character, but in such an intense story like this.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I had some fear going in, just wondering how to. I've never done a horror film before, so the concept of like getting into that headspace and jumping into that kind of level of trauma and and fear was pretty intimidating, like to start it was pretty intimidating, but having worked with Neill frequently before allowed for a certain level of, I guess, like comfort and understanding and definite trust. So I felt really safe going in, and knowing that we were just going to sort of figure it out, um there was also like, we had set out to kind of create as much like simmering, brewing tension or like foreboding as possible. So to kind of just exist in that space on camera, I will say, because off camera, it was an amazing, fun, and hilarious time, which is a huge contrast to what you see on screen.
Right.
But yeah, trying to kind of capture those like internalized moments was definitely a process to figure out. I'm
Yeah.
pretty like. I'm pretty, I'm very Italian with my hands. I like a laugh, so to kind of tone it all down and pair back to like a really um, kind of a stark and minimal existence, which I think was part of Carly in the film. Her psychology, she has tried to escape the trauma of her past and tried to escape the sins of her mother, and as a result has sort of kept herself very isolated and very quiet and very removed from everything and everyone, I think in fear of hurting others, and so yeah, trying to figure out how to be kind of like an isolated introvert was a fun experience.
And is that weird playing a character that has your name? Like, is it create more difficulty distancing yourself from the fictional version of Carly?
I mean, look, I feel like it's a testament to the fact that like Neill was worried I wouldn't remember my own lines or something unless he played the character.
Nice.
No, but I'm it actually, I think I never really asked him why we kept it this way, but I know that it originally was born out of the film was originally going to be sort of more of a found footage type film. Like that's where the inception of it started, as a very, very small indie horror that kind of had a Blair Witch Paranormal Activity vibe that we could just kind of shoot, down and dirty, like during the pandemic. But then
Yeah.
and that was going to be like self-finance and more in the Oates Studios vein of what Neill
Hmm.
has been up to. So that was sort of the inception of it, which I think is why Carly was Carly, and Michael was Michael, and um, Chris at the time was Chris, but then it turned into William, which is his middle name, or Martin, sorry, which is his last name. But yeah, so I think it was kind of born out of that. But then I'm not really sure why he kept it.
And what about the hair? Whose decision was it for your hair to look like that? Was that just what it happened to look like at the time, or was that a creative decision?
Okay, so it was a creative decision. It was a creative decision before I flew up to Canada. Shortly before I flew up to Canada to quarantine, Neill said, "What do you think about what do you think? Well, basically the aesthetic, the original aesthetic that Neill was going for was, quote, Rona, which is like a home hardware store, like a home improvement store. So he said the general aesthetic, like I just want it to be I just want it to feel slightly anachronistic. Like we're not really sure what time we're in. It's clearly the present, but but still he wanted sort of elements of not really sure where we are or what time we're in. But he said, what do you think about dyeing your hair? And knowing that he wanted to go for like the tackiest thing we could do, I had sort of pitched some ideas. And there was also like a sidebar aesthetic of like Moscow 91. So I was thinking of like, Eastern Europe. I was thinking just, where I would want to see it going. We didn't want to go with like bubblegum pink or something that was very on trend now. So, and we wanted it to look pretty like worn out, but still hers. It was still her choice. And it was sort of like her armor. Anyway, all of this is to say, I bought this sort of color shampoo. It's like a color deposit shampoo that was going to be fairly simple for me to kind of do and maintain as we went myself, because we didn't like, at this point, we actually didn't even have a hair and makeup person, I think, at this point when we decided to do it. So it was just going to be on me to maintain it. So I brought it up to Vancouver with me, and then we did have a hair and makeup person come on, but I told her that I had this, color deposit thing. I put it in my hair, and then I think it was like the next day or the day after, and I was heading to where we were shooting. I was heading to Penticton, British Columbia, and Neill said, "I'm not sure we should do that color." And he texted me this. And so I went, and I was seeing my parents quickly before I took off. So I was like, I'm going to call you when I'm on the road. Just hang on. And I was like, I currently have the color like in my hair. So are we sure that we want it out? Because I'll have to figure out how to do it, and it can be done, but let's figure it out. Anyway, all said and done, he had a bit of a think about it, and he was walking around Penticton, and he was having coffee, I think, with his wife, and they saw about 2 or 3 women with like that color hair.
Oh, really?
Or versions of kind of like deep purples or like magentas or whatever. And so he was like, okay, wait a second. We're set in Penticton. I'm seeing this in Penticton currently. And he's like, okay, let's keep it. And my thought was, like I'm easy either way. I kind of liked it as because she's kept herself so inward. I kind of liked that she was sort of like acting out with something that was loud. Like it to me created an interesting paradox.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that we were going to keep it, but of course there was that risk too, that it was going to be absurd and look insane on camera, and it could have been the wrong choice. But I still think I understand why we went for it, and I'm glad that we did. I think it's a choice, and why not take choices?
Totally, and it does work. I think it does give it that. You're right. It's it could be from 90s, it could be contemporary. It kind of works all those different ways. For the genre, did you do any kind of homework or look at any other films as inspiration for this role?
Sure. Yeah. So I had a bunch of films that I was, watching, not necessarily for inspiration as much as just getting into the genre of it. But like, I would find myself, jumping into like It Follows, and then I'd cleanse my palate with an episode of like The Great Canadian Baking Show. So it was I really like I had a hard time staying on track with like horror all the time, because like I truly I'm pretty like once the light goes out in the sky, I'm like, great, it's time to like stay inside and go to bed. Like I'm relatively afraid of the dark. So there was a modicum of when I was in quarantine by myself in an environment, I was fearful to kind of, access too much of imagination. But that said, I most certainly did watch, so many, The Babadook, The Witch, It Follows, A Quiet Place, which I love that film. What else? The Others, because I love that film too, and The Lost Boys, The Changeling.
There's definitely a Sigourney Weaver in Alien vibe, that it's this person who, we're introduced and she's an average person. She's somebody who is dealing with a lot in their life and then are put into these enormous stakes and hold their own, because by the end of the film, you're, standing up right there. So it's definitely right there with me in those badass Sigourney Weaver Alien vibe going on there.
Well, that's a huge parallel, and I appreciate that very much. And it was such an honor to be able to play her as a result, because she does have a strength and she does have a determination, and she does have a courage to transpire all of these evils that are abound. So,
and speaking of that, because you mentioned as soon as the sun goes down, the dream sequence with the bird mask and the flipping backwards walk, was that challenging to film just from a psychological standpoint?
I mean, okay, so when the decision was that the movie was not going to be just like found footage improv, and it was actually going to be scripted and everything else, Neill sent the script, and when that scene comes on, it is like a smack to the heart and the face. Like the description of that entity is so like disgusting, and there's such a visceral sense of what it is. So like I always loved that sequence so much, just like in terms of the script. I was like, this is so exciting, because that to me is really when like it kind of kicks in. Everything is meant to be that kind of like that sort of like, as I was mentioning, that brewing sense of doom, and then it's like it kicks in that sequence. So it was really fun to shoot that, because I wanted to see like how it was going to come about. And Candice McClure, who plays Sam, is a dear friend of mine. I love her to bits, and it was so fun to be working with a mate. It's like it's such a treat to be able to work with your friends and to know that you can really just play without any inhibitions. So yeah, it was like I think, to answer your question, sorry, I realize I keep not answering your question.
No, it's great. You're fine.
But it's one of the things, like, it wasn't so much scary to shoot, it was really exciting to shoot. But what inevitably ends up happening is there's so much adrenaline, right? Because it's like you have that sense of fear, and then there's also like some stunt stuff built in, like soft stunt. It was stuff that I could do myself, but still it was stuff that you are active in that scene to get away from this thing.
And it was crazy. I loved that scene so much. And it was that moment where I've seen so many movies and I know what's coming, but I didn't know what was coming. So I'm sitting here and she puts it on. I'm like, nope, this is not going to be what it is. And then from that point forward, you're right, there is a shift in everything. And then at that point, it goes from being this kind of surreal sci-fi thing to something truly horrific. And you sold it. It was amazing. I love that part.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I would love to take credit, but really it was written for me. And I had a gaggle of talented people around me that set the tone, set the mood, set the scene.
I really appreciate that you're saying that, because when I talked to Neill, he was saying the exact opposite. He was saying it was all you. So, it's a great team effort there that you're all giving each other credit. But I mean, it looks like this was a good, dedicated group of people who came together and made something that at the end of the day, it's scary, it's exciting, and I can't wait for people to watch it. And I honestly, sincerely hope you make more movies like this, because you were awesome in this role.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so much. It was really so much fun to try something new and have it be kind of a pendulum swing from the last thing, and if we can all be so lucky as to continue to do that and, try new things, take new leaps. And I just hope that's what I hope that people accept this movie as that for Neill as well, because I feel like people really want to see the same thing out of him, because he's so talented in terms of what he does. But it's also, I think, hugely important that filmmakers are allowed to try new things and take new steps in different directions and make the films that they want to make. I really admire him for that. He set out to make a film he wanted to make, and he's done that. So.
Yeah, and as soon as I saw that he's got a new movie, so I'm like, I got to see it. He's got a new movie coming out. And then when it said it's a horror film, I'm like, oh, it's something going to be different. And I'm glad that it is something that's different. He's stretching himself. He's still got the same themes and same visual style, but he's stretching it out in a different way. So, congratulations to both of you. I really loved it, and I can't wait for everybody to see it.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you so much. And I truly can't thank you enough for having the excitement to watch it, because that's what we want,
Definitely.
Like, we want to be keen. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today.
Cool. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
How is this possible? Do you know what this place is?
Your mother, Angela, she's our patient.
I've been out of touch with her for a very long time. Oh my God.
Her mind is very active in the simulation.
Simulation?
She went on a homicidal rampage. This is your chance to ask her why.
Mom?
Carly, you have to go. You have to go.
Guys, please let me out! Can you hear me? You have to go! Guys!
What are we doing?
No. Just wait.
Are you sure that you haven't been having any hallucinations outside of the simulation? Demonic possession. It could be real.
I can't do this.
You want to end up like your mother. The Vatican has been funding a black ops unit, using priests like soldiers.
Now that it's free, it won't stop coming.